What's up, LEGO builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios. No, this isn't a dream. I'm actually making a LEGO Star Wars video. I've taken a break from Star Wars content over the past few months and was really enjoying it up until George Lucas called and said he'd take all my Star Wars sets away if I didn't make more videos. So here we are. I'm just kidding. Today, we're going to be taking a look at some of the best LEGO Star Wars alternate builds of 2025 from Republic to Imperial, sequels not included. So don't forget to execute Order 66 on that like button and let's get alternating. This first alt build is from the Miniscale Millennium Falcon set released last year. And fun fact, this is the first Millennium Falcon I've ever bought in any scale, and hopefully the last. This alt build designer is the very talented Andor Bricks. He has a plethora of LEGO set alt builds. You can find the link to these instructions and every other alt build in the video in the description and comments of this video. He transforms this unassuming Millennium Falcon set into a beefy military troop transport from the Andor TV show. If a World War II German half-track had a baby with Star Wars, this is what it would look like, and I'm all for it. As a World War II armor enthusiast, I'm always excited to see when a tank or vehicle design pops up in some other universe in some form or another, which happens often with George Lucas and his films. He took a lot of inspiration from the World Wars using footage and weapon designs in his trilogies, even borrowing the name Stormtrooper, which came from specialized German soldiers in World War I. What drew me to this particular alt build was the mock level of quality and detail. Frankly, I was shocked Andor was able to create such a good-looking vehicle using only parts from what I thought was a pretty small set at the time. Turns out the Millennium Falcon has almost 1,000 pieces, and with most of them being gray, it has some pretty good alt build potential. As you guys know, I haven't collected Star Wars sets for years now other than the occasional pickup because LEGO's kind of just priced me out and I can either build or find custom designs for any vehicle I need. But here's a little collecting hack I'm sure everyone already knows about. If you're looking to buy a set, check and see what it's going for on eBay first. This Millennium Falcon retails for a painful $85, but I got mine for $65 on eBay. Factory sealed. In fact, I paid less than retail for every set in this video except one, saving me a lot of money. Which will just of course go to funding my Gungan army, so I still wasted all the money on LEGO, but hey, at least I got some Gungans out of it. This sleek yet armored troop transport can hold up to 6 soldiers in the back with room for 1 driver in the very snug cockpit. I haven't watched season 2 of Andor, which is where this Imperial transport is seen, but from the images I've looked at, this model is pretty accurate. It captures multiple notable features like the 4 repulsor lifts on the sides, which allow the vehicle to hover, and on the hood, there's the small laser cannons, and beneath that is the large roundish drum that's gotta be for holding blue milk or something. As an added bonus, this alt build includes instructions for a smaller hovercraft, also seen in Andor using the leftover pieces from the Millennium Falcon, so you get 2 great alt builds in one with this set. Finally, I can leave the original trilogy and move to the far superior prequels with this next one. I've been wanting to buy the Miniscale Acclamator since it was released. It's one of my favorite ships in Star Wars, and I get to use not 1, but 2 for this next alt build. It comes to us courtesy of Caravan Creations, who's been going crazy with the Miniscale line of Star Wars ships, creating multiple alt builds for pretty much everyone LEGO has released. The one I picked is a Venator because if the Acclamator is number 1, the Venator is number 2. Those ships are almost interchangeable as far as how much I like them. Plus, I may or may not be needing a Venator for something coming up in the next few months. At first I was thinking this would be one of the more expensive builds of the video since you need 2 sets, but I got both Acclamators sealed for around $70, which is cheaper than the Falcon cost, and that's probably going to be the price of LEGO's Miniscale Venator that's being rumored to come out next year. So I think it's a fair price point. I would love to know what the process of taking a LEGO set and turning it into something else looks like. How would you even begin? I feel like I would design one half of a ship, use up all the good parts, and have nothing but studs for the other side. I'm really impressed the designer was able to make this Venator perfectly symmetrical, so everything you see on one side is mirrored perfectly on the other, down to the greebling and bridges. Not gonna lie, building this made me really want a full-scale Venator for my collection. I have a custom UCS skilled Acclamator that I built, but I need a Venator to go with it. This build does include a stand to display the ship, but I decided to go a more custom route. I built a mini Geonosis mock to be my stand, representing landing at Point Rain at the beginning of the second battle of Geonosis, complete with mini gunships and ATTs. This was the alt build I was most uncertain of. The Venator has a very iconic shape that can be hard to replicate, especially given a piece limitation like in this case. But man, Creation Caravan absolutely blew me away with his alt build. It has a displayable level of quality and detail, even including tiny turbo lasers up near the bridge. There are some gaps here and there where the interior is exposed, but just about every alt build in this video has those. How lucky was he that the designers decided to include some random blue tiles in the Acclamator, because it allowed Creation Caravan to include these little blue side hangers. It'll be interesting to see how the rumored LEGO Miniscale Venator will hold up to this one. Let me know in the comments if you think this is worth buying 2 Acclamators to build. This next alt build is one I've already showcased on the channel, but you can't make a best alt builds of 2025 without including it. It uses parts from Ahsoka's Jedi Interceptor, which I unfortunately paid full price for. Andor Bricks returns as the designer for this one, and he built this custom LAAT gunship created by Jay Blencow. I first saw Jay's illustration late last year and immediately wanted to build it in LEGO. But as is the case with most things I want to build, it never happened, so I'm really glad Andor tackled it for me. The original design is meant to be a smaller ship inspired by the Republic gunship and real-world MH6 Little Bird helicopter, capable of moving troops quickly in and out of hot zones, able to get places larger ships would have trouble in. It's a wonderful craft that both looks new and unique, but immediately feels familiar and looks like it belongs in Star Wars. My boy Nate Builds is going crazy, making some stretched limo versions of this over on Instagram if you want to check him out. I added some extra pieces to mine, like some ingot tiles and wedge plates to smooth out the troop bay, and a door gun to flesh this design out a little bit more. Drop a comment below if you think I should build another Star Wars mock with this ship and what that mock should be. This is the perfect ship for just about any Star Wars mock or budget. I love a good gunship build as much as the next Clone Wars enthusiast, but even the smaller models are still bulky and can be difficult to display or include in mocks. But this little ship can zip in and deploy troops into battles no matter how big or small they are. I added some extra mods to mine, like a door-mounted gun to provide suppressive fire while clearing out a landing zone. But the fun doesn't stop there. I was able to easily transform this into an Imperial version, so whether you like clones or stormtroopers, this dropship has you covered. Also bonus points because it has the same color scheme as my favorite clones, the Galactic Marines of the 21st Nova Corps. I saved the biggest and possibly best alt build for last. It's the perfect blend of all things Star Wars because it's a Republic alt build of an Imperial set, so everyone's happy, except sequel fans. This Imperial Star Destroyer dropped this year and was one of the very few sets I was actually interested in picking up. It's got the best build of any playscale Imperial Star Destroyer LEGO has ever made, and I was able to snag one with mostly sealed bags and no figs to save more money. Outside of the Cal Kestis minifig, none of them were interesting to me anyways. As you know, I'm a sucker for all things Acclamator, and when I saw Aaron Obilis98 on Instagram had made one with an interior and play features using only pieces from this set, my first thought was, no way. In this image, it straight up looked like a real set, although this one would have to count as an Imperial Acclamator since there's no red markings on it. This build is not for the faint of heart. Not because it's difficult, but because of how time consuming it is. This set has over 1,500 pieces, which is a big build with numbered bags, and when doing an alt build, you don't get that luxury. It's all in one big jumble, just like the old days of my childhood. Only I had all the time in the world back then, and the weight of societal expectations hadn't beaten me down quite yet. So I sat down and tried not to stress build this for the better part of the day, but actually enjoyed the process. It wasn't repetitive, and it was cool seeing how modular and open this build was going to be. There are all kinds of storage areas and opening panels, and the whole foundation is very sound. Looking at this build and the way it comes together, I'm surprised LEGO doesn't do more stuff in this scale. There's no shortage of large ships in the Star Wars universe, and this scale has a good combination of playability and displayability, unlike LEGO's more play feature-oriented sets. You know, the ones you build and either hide in a bin or pretend belong to someone else. These instructions were the most expensive, but given it's the biggest build makes sense, I wouldn't go to the trouble of making this build and the instructions and releasing them for free. Just a reminder, each one of these alt builds is linked in the description and pinned in the comments, so go check out the other builders even if you don't want to buy any instructions because they have lots of other cool builds you might enjoy. I feel like I could have dedicated a whole video just to the Acclamator. It took hours to put together, but I found the build process enjoyable and similar to an actual LEGO set. I knew there was an interior before I started building, but wasn't sure how extensive it was. Turns out there's a troop bay and boarding ramp for transporting soldiers, and 2 pilot seats nestled up above. Towards the front of the body, there's a computer room on one side and a war room on the other, complete with a dope holo table. Underneath, there's non-essential but cool landing gear that unfolds just like the landing gear on the actual ship. But probably the most vital feature is the retractable carry handle, which makes carrying, or in most cases, swooshing the Acclamator very easy. I was missing 2 of these wedge plates that go in the front, so I'm guessing I accidentally put them somewhere else in the ship. This mock is up there with the actual Star Destroyer set in terms of looks and playability, which has me wondering what the designer was on while making this and how do I get some. Alt builds have really come a long way since the olden days, and I feel like this year in particular has seen a lot of next level designs dropping, which in my opinion really helps LEGO Star Wars. I know I'm more invested in getting sets now just because of what's possible, and I've seen lots of other people showing interest in alt builds as well, so I want to give my heartfelt thanks to each one of these creators for taking the time to make these and help keep the LEGO Star Wars community alive and thriving. I'm already planning more Star Wars content thanks to these. Don't forget to let me know which of these alt builds was your favorite, and until next time, happy building.